Tasmania. It's great to see you all here. I'm just going to wait for a few people to pop on, but while we're waiting, I'll go through some of the exciting business opportunities or special offers that we have at Stampin' Up at the moment. The big exciting one for me at the moment is the Starter Kit Plus offer, which is an offer to people who join Stampin' Up between the 4th and the 31st of October, so this month. Whereas you normally get a great starter kit deal, with Starter Kit Plus, the deal is even better. You get an extra $48 worth of product, so $238 worth of product for the low price of $169 with free delivery. Now, I get people say to me, oh, I don't want to demonstrate, I don't want to do videos. That's perfectly fine. If you find that you're someone who orders regularly and is just crafting for the love of it yourself, but if you are sort of buying sort of on a regular basis, then this is definitely worth considering. You get a 20% discount on all future products orders while you remain an active demonstrator. And if you do want to share it with others, I'm here to help and guide you and hopefully save you some of the horrible mistakes that I've made over the last nearly 5 years. So yeah, think about that one. As I say, if you're a regular orderer, is that a word? Anyway, then please think about joining up in my little chatty stampers team. Okay, so that's the big one at the moment. I've got my really messy mat here. I've got my Fun Fold class on order at the moment, or you can order my Fun Fold class at the moment. It's these 3 cards here. So they're Christmas themed, and we're using the snowflake specialty vellum in all 3 of those cards. So that's the 3 cards for the, it's not actually a Fun Fold class this time. It's actually I suppose you'd probably more call it a sentiment only class. You just have to add your own adhesives and your own sentiments there. But you also get a little pack of 6 pieces of the vellum. So it's 1 of each of the designs from the vellum, and you use those to complete your cards. But as you can imagine, you've got quite a lot left afterwards to have a play with later. So that's my Fun Fold class for October, and my Christmas Workshop in a Box PDF is just about done. This is just a draft copy I got ready for myself. I'm just about ready. I've got all the written instructions there for all the cards from this class and all the measurements. And once I do the videos, there'll be video links there as well. So if you purchase the PDF, it costs $12. You get all that information for the 6 cards from the workshop. So if it's too late for you to purchase the workshop, or you're watching from overseas, somewhere other than Australia, you can purchase the PDF instructions and make them the cards at home yourself. So that's $12 Australian for the PDF and the link to the videos. Okay, so I think that's all I have to tell you today. We might as well get crafting. This is a new one in the craft room for me, although it's been around for a little while. You can't buy everything as much as you might like to try. You have to sort of pace yourself, or the husband tends to get a little bit angry. Well, no, he doesn't, but you know what I mean. They do get too many boxes being delivered. It does strain relations. Anyway, this is the Rays of Light background stamp. It's the first time I've had a play with it, and I'm really quite liking it. I might use it for other things in the future, of course. It does have the sort of the sunburst or sun rays sort of focus in the middle. I've seen people use it as a sun, exactly, but also as a sort of like an emphasis for a main image that they actually put in the center there. I'm going to use it this time to represent a sun, so it's going to look like a beautiful, bright, sunny scene, but we'll definitely bring it out again to do the other cards. You'll notice as well, if I bring it closer, the rays of light aren't solid. They've got like a speckle or a crosshatch type pattern to them. So if you're expecting something that's got block images, this won't give you that, but it does have a lovely effect with that sort of speckled appeal. Okay, so this is the card we're going to make today, or I'm going to make today. I don't know how well you can see it in the light. The colours are starting with Daffodil Delight in the middle, then it has a sort of a circle of Flirty Flamingo, and then the outside is one of our newer colours, Fresh Freesia. I just thought to give it that sort of sunrise, sunset sort of glow. And I've got my favourite little dragonfly there. So we've used the Dragonfly, what is it called? Dragonfly Garden stamp set for that little dragon. I'm going to try a different way to put the dragonfly on our card we do together, but fundamentally we're here to see the rays of light stamp set. So it's a huge stamp, and I'll bring in my Stamparatus just to show you. Obviously, as a background stamp, it takes the whole size of a card base. So I've got my Stamparatus because I don't actually have a block big enough for that. I don't know that one exists. I'm sure it probably does, but it would probably be a bit cumbersome. So I thought my Stamparatus would be the way to go. So I'm going to use that. I've got my card base, normal coloured, normal size card base for me, 4 1/8 by, 8 1/4 by 5 1/2. I've got a layer of Fresh Freesia, which is going to be our little backing layer there, and I've got another layer of basic white, which is where we're going to do our stamping. Okay, so I'm going to have to make sure you can see both sides of my Stamparatus for this. Apologies about the light if it's a bit blotchy. I've had to put my internal lights on, my 2 recording lights, because it's trying to be dark outside and doing quite a good job of it, if you ask me. Okay, so this is this is my card front. So this is the size of the card front that I want. So I don't have any luxury of cutting it down. So I'm going to have to position it where I think I'm going to like it on that stamp there. And now the sun's decided to come through and put blotches on everything. We'll see how long that lasts. It's very cloudy. So I'm just sort of positioning that on the card back on the platform, just roughly where I think it's going to be. Because I don't have any room to wiggle, I'm not going to be able to use my magnets today. I'm just going to have to come in once and hope for the best. No, that's not going to work because I do need to come backwards and forwards more than once. Okay, Julianne, you've got a trauma. I'm going to have to cut myself a larger piece of cardstock so I've got wriggle room. And I can come back in and then trim it down. So thankfully, here's a piece of large cardstock that I prepared earlier, and I will just pop that. And as you can see, because it's so much larger, I am going to be able to use my magnets, which I'm going to have to anyway. Apologies for that. I was thinking too far ahead and getting myself confused. So this is just a large piece. This is probably just a half piece of A4 cardstock, just big enough so I can fit the stamp and my magnets, which I can. So that's better. You can see that there. I can magnify and stamp, and then I'll just trim it down to the size I want. So that's better. There we go. Just scroll through that part if you're watching on replay. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is use the 3 ink colours that we've mentioned already, the Daffodil Delight, the Fresh Freesia and the Flirty Flamingo. And I'm going to use my brushes. I'm going to use my yellow brush and my pink brush and my sort of orangey brush. So these need a bit of a clean at the moment, as you can probably tell, but I'll clean them after we finish today. So I'll start with the yellowy brush. Apologies there, that's got really, really, really blotchy now, that light. How can I fix that? I might have to cut out the outside light completely and just focus on the inside light. That seems a bit more even light anyway. Yeah, probably worrying for nothing, but we'll see how that goes. I did work out how to fix the microphone problem that we had last week when I had both two cameras going. But I haven't washed my hair today, so I'm not letting you see me today. So we'll stick with crafting and leave the headshots for later. Okay, so this is my Daffodil Delight. I'm just going to pop my brush there, and then just bring it straight in and pop it around on the stamp. You could use daubers if you've not got brushes, but the brushes are just such a nice wide stroke. You can get the effect a lot quicker. Mostly, it doesn't seem to come much. You do have to come back. That's why I know that the Stamparatus is good as well, because you will have to come back in a few times to get the effect that you want. And I'm going to use, which I found it the other day, I'm going to use my wonderful glider from Jan Casey and Crafty Bits and Bobs. So if you love the look of that and the ease and saving my wrists, definitely reach out and I can pop you in contact with Jan. I think she delivers overseas. If you're willing to pay the postage, she's willing to do the posting. Okay, so that's the yellow. You can see that sort of, it's only very pale, but that's what I want. So I'll bring it all closer when I've finished so you can see up close. This is my Flirty Flamingo, so we'll swap to that next. Here's this one. And now I'm with the Flirty, the next colour, I'm just going to stick further out, whereas our yellow was towards the centre of the sun. The Flirty Flamingo is further out. Let's come in with that. There we are. So you can see that sort of growing out, and they cross over each other a little bit in the middle, which is fine because we want them to sort of merge into each other. So that's good. I'm just going to put a little bit more down here. You just sort of gauge where you think it needs to be darkened a bit. Then we'll bring in the fresh freesia. Yep, that's good. I'm watching you when I should be what you're watching your. Oh. Well, you know, a girl's got to do what a girl's got to do, and if that means crafting instead of personal hygiene, then you know that's what a girl's got to do. I do have to have. I have a shower every day. That makes me sound terrible, but I do need to wash my hair because I'm going out to lunch. That's why I'm doing a quickie card today, because I'm actually going out to lunch with some friends from my previous employer, from my job before I retired. And my mum's coming, which was a big surprise. I just sort of asked her because I thought, you know, poor young mum, she's at home alone, poor mum. Let's invite her out with the cool kids. And she actually said yes, which nearly made me fall off my chair, to be honest. But so I'm really pleased that mum's coming. So yeah, have to be on my best behaviour, obviously. And I told my friends that they're not allowed to bring out any stories that may incriminate me while we're having lunch. You know, you don't want your mum to know the mischief you got up to when you were in your 20s and 30s and 40s. Okay, so I'm nearly done here. I hope you can see how that's all sort of merged outwards from the yellow to the fresh freesia. There we are. Now, what else does it need? It might need a little bit more of the Flirty Flamingo. Funny noise outside. And you've got to remember where you are, because it's sort of mirror image of itself. So, you know, if I want to put it here, it means I want to put it there. That's better. And I might make the yellow on the inside. So this is just a matter of, you know, changing, layering up, bringing more in if you think you need more. I'm going to put some more yellow on the darken that yellow a bit if I can on the inside. Yep, that's good. Okay, so I'll bring that closer to the camera now so that you can see it. I think quite happy with that. There we are. So we've got the colours sort of starting from the yellow and working out, and where the yellow and the Flirty Flamingo have sort of crossed, it sort of goes to an orange and stuff like that. So yeah, quite happy with that. I'm not quite sure about the line between the Flirty Flamingo and the Fresh Freesia. I think that's a bit harsh, but I'm going to be cutting it out top and bottom, so I probably will cut a fair bit of that away anyway. So I'm just going to clean my stamp. Just watching the comments from Facebook and from YouTube. So please jump on, tell me where you're watching from, and I'll definitely come back to the comments after we've finished crafting. Okay, so we've got, and I'm going to bring that back in a minute and have a quick play with another technique there, but for the moment we'll stick to what we've got. So I need to cut this one down, and I need to work out where I'm happy to cut it down to. Let's have a look. I might keep that top as much as I can. So I'll bring in my trimmer, and I'm happy with it along the top, so I'll keep as much of that as I can, which means getting rid of or cutting off part of that bottom part. So I'm going to trim it with my trimmer and trim it close to the top, get rid of the white. I'm quite happy with that side, so I might keep that as well. So I'll trim that off. Now, this piece of cardstock is 1/4 inch. Got to remember the sizing of it. This one is 3 7/8 by 5 1/4. So I want 5 1/4, 5 1/8, coming back 1/8 of an inch. Apologies if I'm off the bottom of the thing there. I'm just trimming and thinking out loud as I trim, so not very interesting. And then I want to bring it down to 3 3/4. There we are. So that's the size I'm actually after there. I hope. And I think that lovely Fresh Freesia behind there really softens it out and brings out the lovely mauve of the Fresh Freesia there. We'll get our white base here. So that's the sort of end result we're looking at there. Okay, now our little friend, the dragonfly that I've popped on there, I could just stamp him on there. So here he is here all blocked up, but I wondered what it'd be like to actually pop him on some vellum with some heat embossing. So I've been playing with various embossing powders. My first thought was I went straight to gold. So this is the first little guy I did here in gold. You can see him sort of shimmering. So I need you guys to tell me which embossing powder you prefer. So here he is in gold. And I'm going to wait for a wee while you all have a look at them. So here he is in gold. Can you pick that up? And I also did him in copper because I didn't think the gold was dark enough. So I did him in copper as well. And then I wondered what he would look like in just plain black. I'm not overly keen on the black one because he looked a bit, he went a little bit not as defined, not as, wasn't quite as delicate as the gold. So, okay, I think it's really, for me, my money, it's between the gold and the copper. I suppose I didn't do one in silver. I think silver would fade away far too much. So what do you think? Not black, copper, copper, copper. So it looks like we've got lots of votes for copper. Oh, Deb's gone gold. Oh, you rebel. You reb, Deb. Got lots of coppers. Fran says copper. Kelly says copper. Okay. Well, I might go for copper, but only because I'm going to go with the mob. But I might keep our little gold guy and I'll use him later as well. So we're going to go with copper. But what I'm going to do is, there we are, he's all embossed. I'm going to grab my blends, and this is really nice when you have this sort of effect. So we've got copper there. I'm going to flip him over. I should show you how I embossed him because I've got my new embossing buddy, embossing pack, and it made it really easy. And I hardly made any mess, which is so unusual for me. I usually make such a mess, but maybe next time. Okay, so I've got my yellow, my Daffodil Delight blend. I've just turned my little butterfly, dragonfly over, and I'm just colouring with the blends on the wrong side of his wings. Not that you can see, it's probably far, far away and you will not even see what I'm doing. But then I've got my, what's this one? Fresh Freesia. Just blending the wrong side of his wing. Now this is such a subtle look that probably it would only be another card maker that would notice it if you were to give somebody this card. And then I've got my Flirty Flamingo, and I'm just popping that between the two colours. And hopefully if I flip him over and bring him close enough, maybe pop him on a white card base, you'll see that you've added some lovely translucent sort of colour to his wings. Can you see that? Yeah, I think you can actually. Yeah, so it just adds the colour from the back of the card to sort of come through those wings, which is really nice as he's sort of catching the light. Okay, let's finish this one up. Now everyone's convinced me, it didn't take much convincing, that we would use copper. We now have to decide what I'm going to do for the sentiment. Is it just good enough or nice enough? If I have him there, I'm going to sit him on there. Will I just, as I did with the previous card, just stamp in black the sentiment on the sun there, on the rays, or should I actually heat emboss that in the copper as well to match our little butterfly, our little dragonfly? Don't know. Actually, I'm not a fan of heat embossing the sentiment. Sometimes they don't end up clear enough. So I may, Fran reckons to do the embossing in copper. Yeah, I know. My heart says that. I wonder if I put it onto a piece of cardstock rather than actually on the card itself. Oh, the quandary of it. Maybe I should have worked this out before. Okay, I might pop it onto a piece of white cardstock and then cut it down so it doesn't take up too much space. Let's do that. Okay, so let's find the sentiment. Thank you for your kindness is what I'm going to use, same as the other card. And you will get to see me using my brand new U-Butte embossing kit, which is here. It's so awesome. I only just had it delivered last week. Another one of those things that Julianne put off buying because she didn't think she'd need it. So I'll keep my copper. What you get is this awesome tray with a little screw lid at the end, so that'll come into it in a minute. You get this awesome handy brush. You get a pair of tweezers, so no more burning your fingers when you emboss. You get an embossing buddy, so we're all glad to see that back. And that's my embossing powder. So yeah, so this is the set and it is so handy. Just watch. And I am going to do this, I can say quite confidently, I am going to do this without making a huge mess, which for me is saying something. So thank you for your kindness. Doesn't matter too much where I stamp it on there. Bring in my tray. Woohoo. And my embossing powder. If it's stuck in other places where it's not supposed to, you can just use the brush it off. Okay, so there it is, embossed. Can't think. I'm going to grab my heat gun. And because it's quite a small piece of cardstock, I'm going to use the, my headset just fell off my head. I'm going to use the tweezers. Now, a bit noisy here, so stay with me. And I'm just watching it turn that beautiful, lustrous, almost rose gold, dark rose gold of the copper. Yep, so that's done. I'll take that away. Now, this is where the embossing kit comes into its own. The tweezers are really good because they won't actually let go of that until I squeeze them. It's sort of like they're reverse tweezers. So that's in there. I'm not squeezing that, but that's caught in there. So that's really good. I'm not going to drop that. So this is where this little beautiful device comes in its own. Make sure you've got the lid on the end. That's from personal experience. Just give it a wee bit of a tap. Well, quite a lot of a tap actually. And you can grab the brush and brush the rest of it down into the little reservoir at the bottom. This is so cool. Now, also personal experience, and somebody might say they watched XYZ demonstrator and she did it in a wonderful way, but this is like my third use of this, so I'm still learning. And you fold it flat. So this is flat. Don't do this and take the lid off because it'll all go everywhere. Hold it sort of vertical and take the lid off, and that first little bit will come out the end, of course, where you've had it sitting like that. Just tap that out of the lid. Oh, gently tap that out of the lid and then pour the rest. Give it a little bit of a tap. Grab my brush again. And that, for me, is like a miracle of cleanliness because I am usually the most messy heat embosser on the planet. There's a little bit of spillage there, but that came from the lid. So there you go. If you are a terrible heat embosser like me, definitely worth contemplating this little kit. Obviously the tray, the brush, the tweezers and the embossing buddy all in the kit. Definitely worth a look. You didn't see that. Okay, so we've got our sentiment there. Yes, I think you're probably right there. Definitely needed to go onto in the copper. Now, will I cut it or will I? Let's have a look. Let's see how well I can cut it. Just going to follow the outline of the letters. Of course, we have our wonderful stamp set with matching dies. What's it called? Charming Sentiments. That would take away the need for the cutting, but I wanted to use this one with the dragonflies. So you get to see me at my most vulnerable. I took that too fine, too sharp. Sorry, I'm not talking, I'm concentrating. A bit hard to do both. Even that off. There we are. So how's that look? Yeah, not too bad. There we are. Yes, I didn't use my embossing buddy there because I knew I was going to cut it. Well, yeah, you're right, I forgot. But because I knew I was going to cut it down, it didn't matter too much, but that's not too bad. So that's our little thing there. So we've got our little dragonfly coming in, and then our thanks for your kindness there as well. So we'll put this one together. Oh, where's my glue there? And then I just want one quick thing to show you. I'm going to use the ray of light again. I'm not going to bother making a card at this stage. I'm just going to show you the technique. And I might come back and make a card from it later. As I say, I need to get ready to hit the road for lunch with Mum and my work friends. Okay, so that's our layer of fresh freesia. This is our lovely ray of light burst. Yeah. That's just pretty. I like that. We'll bring in our little dragonfly. So I'm just going to, yeah, was that him? Yeah, I'm just going to curl his wings up a wee bit, and I'm going to pop just a couple of dimensionals down his little skinny tail there, just to give him a bit of oomph. That one's going to have to be cut in half. There we are. Have him coming down there. He's got a lovely glimmer to him. Then I might use the dimensionals as well. I've got this little half one that I've cut off. Use the other half there. I haven't put any bling on this one. Or I didn't put any on the original one. Oh, yes, I did. I used the Iridescent Gems. Let's do that again. Let's pop that there. Given that I've got him coming down that side, I might put the sentiment on the other side just for a bit of symmetry. And then I'll bring in the gems, Okay, so we've got now some iridescent gems there. The good thing with the iridescent gems is because they're see-through, they actually take on the colour from behind. So they give that sort of, in this case, they'll give that sort of, they'll take on the pink or the yellow or whatever happens to be around it. I'll use a fair few here because I sort of like them. There we go. So you've got little glistenings, like little water drops there, haven't we? Yeah. So that's fine. So that's a more oomphed version than the original one there. So I don't know, was the butterfly, the dragonfly worth the extra effort? Who knows? But I do love that glimmer of his wings and things. So yeah, so that's our 2 cards there today. One more thing, as I said, I was just going to show you one more thing with the Ray of Light stamp set, and this was only because I was having a bit of a play and I thought it was pretty cool, so I thought I'd show you what I thought I will make a card out of at some stage. So I'll grab everything back in, so Stamparatus and the stamp set. I'm going to grab a block and I'm going to grab one of my wipes that trusty wipes that I use. Got I'm sticking to the same colours again. Oh, well, actually I'm not, because I haven't got Daffodil Delight in a refill. I'm going to use So Saffron as my yellow. I'm going to pop some ink on I better make sure I've got a piece of cardstock to do this on before it dries. What's this one? Yeah, that'll do. I'll use this. This is the one that we were going to use before, but we didn't. So that's my So Saffron on a wipe, and a tiny bit. So I realised that last time I used too much. Tiny bit of the Flirty Flamingo. And what I'm going to do is pick that up, sort of scrunch it so that both those colours are towards the front, and just wipe it across the surface of the stamp set. So you're going to get, you never really know what you're going to get. This is going to, it'll be different every time. Here we are. So I'll bring in my piece of cardstock, and we know I can't use my magnets here. I'm just going to pop that there. I know it's roughly in the centre. Bring that in, give it a bit of a press now, because I can't come back in again. I sort of need to get as much of the ink off as I possibly can. So I'll give it a nice press, bring it out, and there we are. So that's pretty cool too. You see how you get the wipes, the stripes of the yellow and the stripes of the Flirty Flamingo all in there. So as I say, I won't make a card with that today, but and I'm still going to perfect it a wee bit. I don't want to get a bit of the streaks out of it. They're a bit harsh, but yeah. So I suppose they call that the wet wipe technique, and so usually people make backgrounds with it. But I thought it would be so cool on that background stripe stamp that I thought I'd show you how my thought processes was happening. So that's the one we've done. This is the one I was playing with yesterday. So you can see you get the stripes across the page. I wonder what would happen if you went around instead of straight backwards and forwards. That might be cool. I might try that next time. Okay, so there we are. So you can keep playing with the way you apply your ink. There's no one way is right or wrong. As I say, I've used my brushes for our card, but you can use just about anything. You could even just bring your stamp pad straight in on top of it as well. Okay, so that's my video for today. I'm going to go and have my shower and get ready to go out. Have a great Wednesday or Tuesday evening or wherever you're watching from. If you have any questions about anything that I've showed you today, especially the Starter Plus offer for new demonstrators, I'd love to have you in my team. I'm really going to have a big push on trying to earn the incentive trip this year. So if you'd love to have you join my team and help me achieve that that goal. But anyway, we'll see how that goes. I'll talk to you all again at the weekend. Have a great week and stay safe.